Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the 2025 BMW Alpina XB7. Huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this for me today. Take a look at their website. That link is down in the description. This XB7 is finished off in a black sapphire metallic. MSRP is just over $157,000. Now this is powered by the 4.4 liter twin turbo V8. It's paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission, and it pumps out 631 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. That power sent through the all-wheel drive system, propelling this nearly 6,000-pound SUV from 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. It has a top speed of 180 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 21.9 gallons. You'll expect to see 16 miles per gallon in the city, 20 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 122.2 inches. Its overall length is 203.9. It has a width of 78.7, a height of 70.7, and its minimum ground clearance measures in at 8.4 inches. Now, as we take a look at the exterior styling for the top trim level for the X7, you'll notice up front there's the brushed surround for the kidney grille. It's also on the vertical slats. There's active grille shutters behind that, forward-facing camera. And then for all the LEDs up front, this has the split design with the DRLs and turn signals in the upper section, headlights and high beams in the lower section. There's also parking sensors, the sensor for the distance pacing, and then Alpina is finished off in a brushed accent, where you'll notice too, there's some more cutouts in that lower section, just giving it a really nice look. And then some subtle lines to finish it up coming down the hood. Now this model is also equipped with a set of 23-inch wheels. This has massive blue brake calipers too, with the Alpina logo in that center wheel cap there. And then there's the power folding side mirrors with the camera and the turn signal, full moonroof up top with all of the roof racks there, gloss black. There's more gloss black for all the window trim, and then some great lines that run down the side. Now that leads us to the back, where there's the body colored spoiler with the third brake light, wiper blade in the lower section. There's all of the badging, LEDs for the lights, backup camera, all of the sensors. There's the quad tip dual exhaust with some fins in that lower diffuser. And then if you do option this with the towing package, it can tow right around 7,500 pounds. You do need to have the factory installed hitch in order to do that. Now you can use that button or the button on the key fob to open up the liftgate there, where the X7 has the split design. So then you can just push on this button here. The button on the right side will actually lower the entire rear end of this vehicle. So if you have some items that you want to load in, that'll give you a little bit lower of a load height. Now the X7 is also a 3-row SUV. So with the third row currently up, this is the amount of space that you get. Of course, you can fold down the third row too to get a little bit more space. And then you do have a little bit underneath the floor for some smaller items. Now over on this left side, all of these seats are automatic. So we have max people, max storage, and then the individual controls in order to move these seats. The third row will fold flat. The second row will just slide forwards, getting a little bit out of the way. So they won't fold all the way flat, but it still gives you a lot of interior space. And then you can push the one button up top that will close both of those in the back. Now as we work our way to the interior, this model has the Tartufo leather, which is a great contrast. You'll notice there's a black leather too, ambient lighting, Bowers & Wilkins for the audio, and then all of these sunshade adjustments too. So you can just push on these to control pretty much all of the ones in the back. So you have the passenger side, you have the sunroof up top there that you can adjust, and then you have your window control too. Now for this XB7, captain's chairs are an option. And in order to get into the third row now, you can just pull on that handle where it will move the front seat just a little bit in order to move this one out of the way. So as it's moving, you'll notice that we have a good bit of space, and then we have controls for this third row too. So you can actually use these to further adjust the seats if you need to. Now, once in back, you have a good bit of space. I'm 5'10", and my head is almost just touching the headliner. So honestly, I could ride around town and be comfortable, have the second row move forward slightly just to give a little bit more legroom, but it's really not all that bad. You have a cup holder, ambient lighting. This model even has Alcantara for the headliner, and your third row passengers not only get the sunshade up top, they're heated seats, and you have your own climate adjustments for temperature and where you'd like the air to go. So that way you can be very comfortable in this third row. So it is doable for adults to be in the back. And then all we have to do is grab the backrest, and the seats are going to move back from there. They are automatic, of course, so you have all those adjustments on the side in order to further get these into a comfy position. So as we hop into the back now, you'll notice that there's an area where you can place and charge tablets. There's also storage pockets. You have your vents, heated captain's chairs, all of the climate adjustments, more storage, auxiliaries, and cup holders down below. These also have adjustable armrests, so you can lock those into place. And then at my height, I have plenty of space. So there's no complaints with headroom for the second row. If you're taller than me, you might be getting close, of course, but this is really where you want to be. We have the ambient lighting, which hopefully you can see is on at the moment, and then that sunshade on that side there. So definitely a lot of practicality for your backseat passengers. Now up front, you'll notice that you can actually adjust the rear seat. So it's on that passenger side where the front seats will start to move forward, so that way you can make adjustments. This also has massaging front seats. You can adjust the passenger front seat by pushing on L2 and then using these controls on the side. So you have a lot of operations from the driver's seat. There's memory seating adjustments, window controls, sunshades, and more storage down below. And then we have a very nice set of front seats that look similar to the rear. And then we have a solid leather steering wheel. Now let's start this up and take a listen to how this V8 sounds. As we come back to the digital gauge cluster now, you'll notice that this has blue for the backlight, which is really neat to see. But as I use the button over on this right side, we can go through all this content that you would see in a normal X7. You have even the augmented reality, so you can pull up the forward-facing camera, which is nice. And then you have a few other items that you can scroll through as needed. Now you can also go into the layout, so you can adjust how you would like to view this information. And then the last one is for the head-up display, where you have a few different settings that you can go through. Now over on this side, you also have volume and tuning, Bluetooth and voice commands. This even has paddle shifters too, so you'll notice there's a plus where you have the little button on the back side. So not an actual paddle shifter, but you can use plus and minus. You have cruise and adaptive cruise on the left side, and then you'll notice green stitching and blue stitching on the top, which is really neat. Now on this left side, there's a little bit of storage. You have your headlight adjustments, along with some brushed accents, wood trim, and then with the infotainment system, you have everything that you would see in pretty much every 25-year BMW. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, you have a lot of different settings that you can get into. There's also your home screen, which has the split design to it. You can get into all the climate adjustments to monitor all of that. There's also navigation and music, and then this has heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel. There's the temperature adjustments too. More wood trim underneath that with some air vents. There's power and volume, tuning, defrosters, even wireless charging with auxiliaries, and then heated and cooled cup holders. You'll notice the BMW Alpina XB7 badge on the top there. And then you have some crystal designs for the rotary dial down below. You can use these shortcuts to further get into this information and use that dial to scroll through everything as needed. And then we have more crystal for the shifter. When we put this into reverse, this has the backup assistance, and then you have all of these angles just depending on the visibility that you need. So no shortage of visibility for this. Now you can also put this into the manual setting and shift here or with the paddles. There's traction control, parking sensors, and then you have a few different driving modes. So there's sport mode along with comfort, and then you also have a hill descent control that you can get into. But as far as the driving modes go, you just have those two. There's also auto hold and the e-brake, and we have the auto level suspension, being able to raise and lower it too. So if you need a little bit more ground clearance, you can adjust that as needed. There's an auxiliary down below. You get the ambient XB7 badge over on that one side with some storage in the glove box there. You have garage door buttons up top, and then the dome lights and the adjustments for the sunshade and that sunroof. And then here's a look at visibility. You have a little bit of a pillar there, but it's really easy to see in both directions here, and then your side mirrors are also going to help you with that too. So as we set off behind the wheel now for the Alpina XB7, this will be a short test drive for today, but this year, this is the second Alpina that I've been able to drive. So I do have some experience with this vehicle and just the X7s in general. This is basically the most expensive X7 that you can buy. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit more exclusive, we do have some different styling cues compared to a normal X7 that makes this a little bit more exclusive and a little bit different, of course, than a normal X7. So you are getting something that I'm surprised I've seen more than one this year. So this is a really sweet 3-row SUV to buy. You have a lot of great options with it. You really have the ultimate luxury-focused 3-row SUV. With this adaptive suspension, which I have in my X5, it is a really nice suspension to have. It's going to float over bumps and just give you that comfortable ride you are looking for. Now, you can also change that by putting it into sport mode, where it will get a little stiffer. The vehicle will actually lower too, just to give you a little bit more of those performance characteristics. And so let's go ahead with it in sport mode. We can use the buttons basically on the back here. It's interesting there's no paddles or anything, but let's give it some gas. These buttons are pretty responsive too. It is weird that there's no full paddles. I feel like this model needs to have some larger paddles, but even though this has a lot of performance to it, it's more on that refined luxury feeling giant SUV. So it's not like an X5 M comp where you have those massive paddles to really do some of that driving. They are there if you need them. Maybe you're towing with this if you get the towing package, or you just want to drop a gear. You have that, and of course you have the shifter down below. But this is a nice vehicle for sure. We do have rear wheel steering, which I didn't mention earlier, which makes this that much more maneuverable in parking lot situations and all of that. So it's very nice for the bigger vehicle that it is, that we have some options like that. And just in general, from my experience owning my X5, this is going to be a fantastic daily driver. It's super comfortable and quiet. We have a lot of nice materials to give you that luxury feel and vibe while you're driving this. We have very comfortable seats too, the massaging function, which works really well. I know I didn't show that on the screen, but you have a lot of different options that you can go with here, just depending on where you hurt or where you want a little bit of extra comfort, and you have the levels that you can set too. We still have it in sport mode, second gear, here we go. And of course it has a lot more power than what I'm doing today, but it definitely sounds good too. It's not too loud, which is what you would want in a vehicle like this, but this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the 25 Alpina XB7. It really doesn't have much of a difference between a normal X7 or even an X5 in general, aside from the badging. We have XB7, the different interior stitching, which is nice. Most of the other materials are what you are going to see. So there are a lot of shared components with this. We don't have too many changes, I will say, compared to a normal X7, aside from some of the cosmetics. And of course, we do have a lot more power with this engine here. So if you're just looking for an X7 that just has that exclusivity to it, this is the option to go with. And as I've already covered, it's very comfortable to drive. It's just a well-refined 3-row SUV. So if you're hauling people a lot, it's a great option to go with. I will say, I've never seen an Alpina without the captain's chairs. It's an option on the window sticker, so I'd be interested to see what a bench style seat would do, but I feel like a lot of people at this price point are interested in the captain's chairs for a little bit more comfort. The only downside is they don't fold flat. So if you're looking for a vehicle like this and you're looking to haul a lot of items, you may want to go with the bench, if that is even an option. I would assume so, since these are optional, but that's just a little different, just depending on how you want to use this SUV. Definitely very practical for its size and what you can do. But that is going to wrap it up for the Alpina XB7. Once again, a huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this for me today. Take a look at their website, give this video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.